Hello everyone, I'm Daniel P. Right now I am doing a special Halloween commentary on one of my favorite shows, The Angry Beavers, and I am not alone tonight. I am joined with another fan of Angry Beavers, and would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, this is Senpai from DeviantArt, also known as Mary H, and tonight I will be joining in on the review of The Angry Beavers Halloween special.
Yes. That Halloween special is the day the Earth got all screwed up. And this is, okay, so for those who don't know how this whole commentary thing is going to work, right now we are working off of a audio file. So we're not going to have the actual video with the audio file. So what we want you guys at home to do is to take this file and to sync it up with your copy of the Angry Beavers DVD, so that way both the video, your video, and the sound from us are synced together. So what we're going to do is that we're actually on the episode, like the 0.0000 seconds of the episode. Like right now, we're watching a blank screen. So when I press play, I'm going to, the first few seconds of the episodes are going to start running. So right now, if you have everything set up and you're going to watch this with the audio commentary, have it on, like, not even the first second, the first 0.0000 second of the episode. And then when I press go, when I say go, that's when you start to play the audio commentary with the episode. So, right now, let's get back and relax and enjoy the day the Earth got all screwed up. And start with a countdown. 3, 2, 1,
go.
And here we start with, apparently someone took a bumper sticker and, like, decided that would be a good title for the Nickelodeon logo. Because it looks like something you would get from Home Depot.
It does, it does. Now, this is a very unusual opening for a Angry Beavers episode.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, being the Halloween special that it is, it just hits every mark with the science fiction horror tropes and mantras that they're going with. Yeah, and if you know your horror, you know your mysteries and all that stuff, then you'll see so many references and homages in this episode. Yeah, and a lot of people would say too that it's the perfect Angry Beavers episode because of how it treats the characters and like the overall tone of Angry Beavers.
Screwed up. You can't use that on TV anymore for kids shows.
That guy in the middle there, I thought that said William Shatner, but it's like Shatner.
Yeah, I mean, the things that these shows could get away with back then, I really miss those days.
Yeah, this looks like some kind of, like, really cheap, I don't know, like, the Super Nintendo logo or something like that with the flames and all that.
Mm-hmm.
It has its own character, this episode and this show. So I guess the first thing we should say is, what is it about Angry Beavers that makes us like it so much?
You know, I think for me, I think it was just, there was something unique about it in the sense of it being a kid's cartoon, and I knew instantly that this was different from most of the Nickelodeon cartoons that I actually grew up with. Not only was it, it was a bit of a kind of a wise, smart series with a lot of adult, adult-themed humor that was also appropriate for kids. But at the same time, it took its audience seriously. You know, they didn't dumb it down. They still made it fun. And there was just all this really random, kooky humor that I think, I found it kind of unique for its time. And I think that's probably one of the main reasons that why I was drawn to it as a kid. You know, it was something unusual, but I think that's why I liked it so much. I mean, you know, look at Daggett. He's wearing this thumb.
Mutated
with,
thumb with a, like, horrible growth on the back.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what that is. If it's like a fetus,
egg sac. Let's just go with growth because, you know, a lot of people can relate to that.
There we go.
Yeah. You know, what's really weird about Angry Beavers for me is that at the time that this was made, Nickelodeon was actually making shows that had, like, this weird middle ground in terms of tone. Like, they had shows that were zany in its humor, but were also sort of dramatic. And you see that in shows like Hey Arnold and Rugrats and shows that came out during that time. And you would think that Angry Beavers, on the surface, would probably be the most zaniest of them all, but they actually make it pseudo-serious and pseudo-zany, kind of in a Looney Tunes kind of style. And also, Angry Beavers, I don't know how you would explain the overall tone of it, but for me, I would say that it feels very Canadian. And what I mean by that is, it's just, if you're an American fan or American viewer and you watch something from Canada, it's really hard to relate to what is happening. I mean, like, the references are so oblivious, you're not quite sure what they're talking about or what's happening. And I don't know if that was actually like a tone they were going for. I mean, it's like, is the creator of the show Canadian too?
You know, it's funny you say that because I remember growing up watching this and thinking pretty much along the lines of the same thing. You know, the humor is just, at times, it is so confusingly, I don't know, I would say foreign to me when I would watch this, and I would say that I was probably drawn to it mainly for that reason. You couldn't really find humor like this in most cartoons at the time. And, you know, especially on Disney Channel. You know, it was all about child-friendly shows. But, yeah, I mean, definitely, you know, there was always something unusual about the humor. Like, you know, maybe it was a creation of Canadians. It was quite possible. You know, and there was also a show called 16 that had very similar, you know, crazy humor that I remember thinking this is definitely a Canadian cartoon. No offense to Canadians. I am part French Canadian myself, so I have every right to criticize or joke.
Well, we're not denigrating anybody. We're actually praising something that may be there, may not.
But yeah, I mean, I would say that there was definitely something unique about the overall style of this that really just drew me to it as a kid.
I am being overtaken by their vocabulary of the word candy because it's just the way they say it, the candy. Yeah, here it comes right now. Candy.
You know that was one also.
How do you say candy, Mary?
That was one of the most memorable moments of this entire series was some of the words that they used. Like, what was it? You know, they would always either misspell words or they would mispronounce words, and I love that. And, you know, I never grew up using those terms. You know, I was like using wrong words. Rugrats really, I really had an issue with that there, but they always had like their own language in a sense. Mm-hmm. Like
I would say that if anything, you watch Angry Beavers just due to the performance of Nick Backay and Richard Horvitz as Norbert and Daggett, respectively. Mm-hmm. Because I actually saw a couple of episodes before we watched this to prep myself, and you just listen to like the audio track of them, and they make the episode no matter like what they're doing, no matter where they are. They can be in an empty room and still make it entertaining.
Oh, definitely. Richard Horvitz is an awesome voice actor. He's just so talented. I believe he later on went to work on Invader Zim, if I'm not mistaken, shortly after the series was canceled.
Mm-hmm. And funny enough, I remember one time I was clicking through my television, and I saw an episode of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and Nick Becke actually voices Salem the cat on that show. And what was funny about that was Richard Horvitz made a guest appearance as a talking couch, and surprisingly enough, it was a Halloween episode.
Yeah, I do remember growing up with the Sabrina series, and these guys seem to be in a lot of they do a lot of shows together. I noticed the voice of Daggett and Norbert.
Mm-hmm. So, what was this about the art style you were talking about? You said it looked very Marvel-ish.
Well, I remember the very first episode I ever saw of the Angry Beavers. I was, I'm trying to think, it was the one where Norbert was sleepwalking, and he was watching this black and white horror movie. And I remember my first thought was, wow, this is so unusual for a kid's cartoon. And I just remember sitting there laughing at how ridiculous the art style was, but it was done so ridiculous that it looked like one of those old-fashioned Marvel comic books. And I just remember thinking how unusual that was for something like this, and just it really started to make the entire series stand out. For me. And I think it's interesting that they're combining these different styles in the same series.
Mm-hmm. And I think because that idea was so interesting with this realistic kind of Johnny Quest-esque art style, they found that so interesting that they wanted to explore it even more, and so they made an episode out of it, and that's why you got this.
I love that. Sorry, I love that thing. Whatever that green thing is. Like so mesmerized by it right now. Yeah, I mean, I have to admit, I've always been fascinated by any series that can combine different art styles into the same show. It doesn't happen too often. When it does, it's always interesting to watch because you feel like you're watching two different shows. The style really makes the atmosphere and the tone of any series. So to have two different tones and styles in the same series or episode is kind of interesting. And at times you feel like you're, you feel like you're not really sure what world you're in when you're watching this. Are you in the Angry Beavers world, for example, or are you like in this? You feel like you're entering this completely different, like you've jumped right into a comic book.
Everyone's just so baffled at what's happening that they don't know what to do. Yeah. Speaking of motifs and everything, the way that they actually play out with this realistic style is that it's movies play to their most extreme, and when I say extreme, I mean their most hammy, and everyone in this is like so over dramatic and so hammy. And that's what B movies have become now. It's like, people made these movies that they thought were serious, but at times they came off more as funny.
Definitely.
Yeah, and these creature designs and everything are just so fantastic. The one thing that was going through my mind was when I was watching this, I'm like, man, if I was in charge of the art creative during this episode, I would think that they pay these animators overtime because of just how much sophistication is in this episode with all these with this realistic character design and all that.
They would have to pay them. And it's interesting too because that woman's really getting beat up. It's interesting too because it actually the realistic style of this actually is more fluid than it usually is. Usually in the when Dorbert and
You said Norbert.
When Norbert and Daggett are watching
They-
old cornball black and white movies, it's usually very, the animation is very, like, stiff. So, to have something that fluid is, oh, is that's that spleen, or that spleech. I remember that episode.
Daggett called it the crawling spleen.
The spleen, that's right. I remember that. That was one of my favorite episodes. Oh my god. And it's funny to see this animated now. This style blended in with the regular Angry Beavers. Now, am I the only one who finds the title of the series very suggestive? It might just be me, but I've always thought that there was something a little odd about the name of the series. But this is a kid series, and I'm assuming this is a PG review, so I won't say no more about the topic.
Here comes the radioactive pterodactyl. I like how Daggett and Norbert, like, throughout the series, they were never taken serious. No one, like, acknowledges their presence as characters, per se.
Mm-hmm.
They always see them as, like, annoying weasels. But in here, I almost said Dorgett. Norbert and Daggett, they get fed up with the stupid stuff that the other characters do, and they just can't believe it. It's like, oh man, now we understand what everybody talks about when they say that they find us. Well, that's what he says. Yeah. A while back, we actually saw a reference to World of Worlds with the Spiral Crab, and I don't know what they're referencing with the tube thing now with the giant alien head. But even the alien head is overdramatic with his.
I love how pretty much every character in this episode has lasers for eyes. My God, if I could have that ability.
So what, you can fry your burritos faster?
You know what, I
didn't think about that.
Yeah.
You're right.
Oh, you're giving me ideas. Oh, it's probably not the best thing. I love how this woman just keeps getting beaten up horribly every frame.
Yeah. And for anybody who's a John Carpenter fan listening to this, I forget what her name is, but she's a John Carpenter regular, and she's actually in movies like The Fog and Escape from New York. Adrienne Barbeau, that's it.
I love how they're just sort of going along with it. Like, this isn't exactly something that happens every day, but you know, we're cool. We're cool.
Suck on my vacuum cleaner. That's probably the best part of the whole thing. It's this laser contraption, and yet they throw it.
And they look so out of place in this episode. They really do. It's
even the Beavers say it's how stupid it is. That guy always have his mouth open with his front teeth sticking out. Daggett with his.
Oh my God! I used to do that all the time with my friends. I would make those really weird sound effects. We would be walking out in public around other people, and we would just be making all of that woo ee. Oh, good times, good times. Back when we were dumb, dorky kids, we didn't care about what other people thought.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at all this stuff, I mean, man, this is something you would see in some kind of mini movie, but it's just like. You should not put this much effort into, well, look at that realistic plane, that much effort into, oh, look at the little cat clock.
Oh, I want that clock. I want that clock. It's going up on my wall.
You shouldn't put this much effort into a show like this, but yet they do, and it's just so mind-blowing that...
I almost feel like I'm watching a season finale, or even the series finale when I'm seeing this. because there is so much detail and work put into this episode.
Oh, this part here.
Oh, wow.
I saw the first time I saw this was with my niece, and when she saw this little montage here, she, you would think her kidneys exploded because she was dying of laughter. Well, because yeah, this part here, send in the troops. They send in the cavalry, the sumo wrestlers, the baby turtles.
Oh my god.
Baby turtles, go!
That's one of the things I love about this series. I love the randomness. You just, you take a step back and you're like, what did I just watch?
And they're doing the wackety whack tactic now with the lasers.
I love the dark shadows in the back with their glowing eyes. So overly dramatic.
I know.
And then they probably lasers.
Lasers. Oh, don't forget.
Lasers. But that's a different show.
That's a different time.
There we go. We got more planes. We got dragons now. Oh, look at that.
Wow,
look at that. We got dragons.
That must have been the cheapest, easiest things to work on in this episode. Let's just take this and take this scene and put it together, and voila, there we go. Took less than this whole entire episode to do.
I feel like the creators of the show had so much fun working on this episode. I can see the enthusiasm they had when developing the concept.
It's really interesting because it shows Daggett and Norbert at their most confident, and it's interesting because throughout the entire series, they were opposites of each other, where Norbert is the laid-back one who knows everything, but the thing is that he's too laid back, and so he doesn't get things done. But yet Daggett gets things done, even though he might not know everything. And in this, you actually see them, competent characters.
We're having trouble with our words tonight.
Yeah.
It's nice to see them working together and actually accomplishing something for once, rather than have everything just completely fall apart, like it usually does.
Which is interesting because
there goes the dragon.
There goes oh
my god. Ha.
But
this is
shoot it with the missile thingies and make it go away.
oh, look at that. We got Truck.
Oh, that's the part right there. The part with the fish squirting the water at the bug. That's when my niece had to go to the medical center.
Wow,
she threw up her kidney when she saw that part.
I love that. I love the truck. Oh my god. And that poor woman, I swear, everything. She's getting a serious beating in this episode. And I feel like as serious as these realistic Marvel-like characters are, there's some comedy to their attitude. I mean, just their facial expressions, especially the poor innocent woman just getting pulverized every 5 seconds. But then right back to being completely serious again. I love it.
Yeah. Well, for anyone out, Daggett in lab coat.
That's not the first time he's been in a lab coat.
Okay, Daggett explained everything, why everything happened in less than a second, and he's like, I can explain everything. Click. Exactly.
It's probably the best exclamation you can get. Coming from Daggett.
It's, I think it's kind of hard to wrap your head around this is how, these two universes collide, and it's okay, so, were they real? Were they, in this, dimension upon dimension with the black and white and all that? But, and here we end with our narrator, who I don't know the guy's name, but everything ends on a perfect note.
I want Daggett's costume. I want to go out for Halloween as a thumb. And a fetus.
Not only does he continue to narrate, he narrates over the credits.
The credits don't matter. Nobody reads the credits.
Yeah, they just listen to the narrators if they just happen to go on. I think that the only way they could top this episode, because it was just so grand on every level, is if they followed up on their final episode, which would be their last episode. If you know anything about the last episode, and you know just what went into the idea behind the last episode, you would realize just how it's something that has never been done before in the world of animation. That's the only way they could have topped this episode. Well, we'd like to thank you for taking your time to join us with this commentary, and we hope that you liked it. Until next time, I'm Daniel P.
And I'm Senpai, a.k.a. Mary H.
And we'll see you next time for another commentary.
All
that
right.
is, if it happens.
Well, think about it.
All right. See you later, people.
Bye.